So I've been thinking a lot recently about the idea that whenever you do any kind of work, whether it be creative or otherwise, you only have two options, really. You can either create something that is flawed and imperfect, or you can create nothing. There is nothing that you can create that is perfect or will live up to every single expectation that you have of it. And I think it can be hard to accept that sometimes, that nothing you do will be perfect, exactly perfect, the way that you imagined it or the way that you want it to be, note for note, word for word, action for action. I think you should have goals. I think you should have deadlines and expectations. But at the end of the day, your two choices are to create something that is flawed, something that is imperfect, something that was made by a human being, or to create nothing. And typically speaking, I think it's better to create something flawed than to create nothing. And so if there's one thing that I've really kind of grappled onto this year, it's that idea that you can only create flawed things that you will look back on and inevitably you will go, man, I wish I had done this different. I wish I had done this better. I wish I hadn't shot that video in a vampire costume. No, I'm never gonna regret this. But for me, accepting this idea, accepting the idea that I can only do imperfect work has actually been freeing and liberating in a lot of ways. I think that once you accept that idea, that nothing you do will be 100% what you want it to be, then from that point on, it just kind of turns into a numbers game. And it's like, let's just do as much as we can. Let's try to meet the expectations best we can. I think that whenever you let go of the idea that the next thing I make will define me, the next thing I make will be a masterpiece and it'll be remembered for centuries, or on the flip side, the next thing I make will be so reviled and so hated and so despised for centuries that my family name will be run into the ground and my descendants will be burned at the stake or whatever the frick else, I don't know. But I really think there's something to the entire idea of just approaching the work process with the mindset of let's do the best that we can. Because I think that if you have that idea in mind, if you understand that your next work may not be your best work, honestly, then I think that you can just kind of move through it more quickly. And you can say, okay, I did the best I can in this situation, but now the time for that has passed and the time for something new has arrived. So let's move on. I don't know exactly when this video will go up just because I film crap and then don't edit it for months sometimes, but at the time that I'm recording this, I have put up a video every single week for the past, I think, 22 weeks, minus 1 week when I was sick. And through this process of just making things and putting them out there, I know that every video that I've done has flaws. I know that everything that I've ever touched or worked on is imperfect in some way, shape, or form. There are things about anything that I've ever made that I wish I could change. But ultimately, I think that there's something to just stepping back and saying, this is the best I could do. And I'm proud of that. I'm not proud of the flaws necessarily, but I'm proud of the good things because things don't have to exist. And that's a weird idea, the idea that things don't have to exist, but it is kind of a glass half full perspective. I think that a glass half full perspective on a lot of things can be really helpful just because it causes you to recognize that the glass doesn't necessarily have to have anything in it at all. Sometimes you either get a glass half full or you get nothing. And if you're thirsty, then you want the glass that's half full because sure, it's not a full glass, but it will quench your thirst better than nothing will. And so that's how I've come to view the body of work that I've done. And it's weird to think about it like a body of work, but it is a body of work. I've come to realize that the videos that I've made don't have to exist. They don't have to exist. Because again, the options when making them were number one, make something imperfect, or number two, don't make it at all. And I think there is really something special to just making stuff and hoping for the best. There's something special to just making things and letting go of the outcome almost. And I don't know if it's possible to do that 100% because I'll make a video and sometimes I'll go, man, this is a real banger. Hope this takes off, and it won't. And then some of my most popular work is actually not my best, or at least in my opinion. But I mean, sometimes things just happen and there's no really great rhyme or reason to it, but it's just the way things play out. And I think you have to accept that. I think you just have to do what you can and move on. And I think that's good advice for any area of life, really. But no, I think there's really something special to just setting restrictions on yourself and setting limitations and going, I'm gonna do what I can within these limits. And just whatever happens, I'm gonna go with it. Once you let go of the idea of perfection and kind of go with the process, I think that once you do that, that's when you'll actually see the results that you were looking for all along. Or maybe not even the results, but I think that you'll see better results than you would have otherwise. And there are plenty of instances, I think, where things should have had more time in the oven, so to speak. They were half-baked or just unfinished. I don't think you're going to see too many of the results you want if you just push some garbage out that is unfinished and just, you need more time on it, plain and simple. But I think that if you do set limits on yourself and you say, I'm going to release 1 video a week, you will find a way to do it, even if you know that the work isn't perfect. Even if you know when you're uploading videos at 1 a.m. there are flaws in the video, very specific flaws, and you just don't have the time to fix them. For me, it's been very important to learn how to work within the limits I've given myself and to just make do with what I can. Like I said, I've put up a video a week for the past 21, 22 weeks, minus the 1 week when I was sick. And I think that there's even something to be learned from that, which is that sometimes even when you give yourself limitations or you try your hardest to do something, to put it out, I think that sometimes things just come along and kind of throw a wrench into our plans. I didn't choose to get sick and miss that 1 week. When I realized that I was sick and I wouldn't be better in time to actually shoot and record another video, I just kind of accepted it. And I just kind of said, yep, I'm missing this Sunday. I'm not uploading this day. That's fine, whatever, who cares? And even in that moment, I had to be glass half full because I was like, bro, I've uploaded a video a week for the past 15 weeks. I'm like, that's pretty freaking good. Because let me tell you, it takes no small amount of time to do even the silly little whatever this crap is. And whether or not you like every video that I've put out, that's irrelevant, I think. I think it ultimately doesn't matter because I think that I've learned more from the process of just putting something out every week than I would have learned any other way. And I think there's something special to it too, to the process of just sticking yourself out there in front of the whole entire world. I see the numbers of how many unique viewers there are for each video, and I saw the numbers a couple of weeks ago and I honestly became sick. And it's stupid. It's stupid to feel sick whenever you realize that people are watching your videos that you made for them to watch, but it was just like, what the frig? It was like, this is a huge number of people, for me at least. And it was just a really strange feeling and revelation almost, where it was like, I don't know, it was weird. It was weird. It was strange to realize that this little project, that this little experiment of just making a video a week was actually kind of garnering some interest. That's a weird way to put it, but I can't think of anything better right now. But there's a saying, don't let perfect become the enemy of good. And I think that all too often that is the case. I think all too often perfect becomes the enemy of the good because we don't want to show our vulnerabilities, in a manner speaking. We don't want to show off work that isn't completely perfect or to our liking. But the thing is that nothing like that has ever really existed for me. I've never made anything that I'm 100% okay with. I haven't ever made anything that I think is without flaws. But I think at the same time, we are our own harshest critic. I think that sometimes we are harder on ourselves than anyone else will ever be. But maybe that's not true. Maybe that's not true because sometimes people can be pretty mean and that's not fun. But I have a lot of friends who are interested in doing some kind of creative work. A lot of my friends do music, and I've told them this, that what you should do is you should just set a goal for yourself to put out a song. I don't know, it doesn't have to be every week. It doesn't even have to be a song, to put out an album every 6 months or something like that, to put out a song every month. I think it really helps when you realize that your work is never going to be perfect, but the only way to get better is through. The only way that you're ever going to achieve any of your dreams or hopes or anything like that is through practice and through trying to expand yourself, as weird as that sounds. But I think there's so much to be gained from just saying, screw it, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put out a video a week. I'm going to write a short story a week. I'm going to put out a song a month. I'm going to make a movie every 3 months. And then whenever I'm done with the project, I'm going to look back on it. I'm going to reflect on it, and I'm going to do it all again. And I'm going to just keep at it. And so I think that's kind of what I wanted to document and capture tonight on this spooky Transylvanian night. Just the idea that things are never going to be perfect. And so you just have to persist anyway. Really, if for no other reason at all, I wanted to capture how I'm feeling right now about just making videos. Because I started the same thing with a novel, where I said that every 2 weeks I would send out approximately 5,000 words of a novel to a group of friends and family. And I've been doing that, and it's been weird. It's been weird because I know that I can do better than what I'm sending out. But at the same time, I have a time limit. I said every 2 weeks I would send out some chapters, so every 2 weeks I send out what I have. I think that sometimes you have to recognize that you can only do so much in the moment, right here, right now, and I think you have to let go of that, and I think that, at least for me, it has made my life better. Instead of getting into this mindset that, oh, this video has to be perfect, oh, this story has to be perfect, oh, this comic I'm writing has to be the best thing I've ever written, I can just kind of accept that sometimes you hit it out of the park, and other times, no matter how hard you try, it's not going to be your best work. And so whether it's a thing that you're hitting out of the park, whether it's a thing that is not going to be your best work and not going to be remembered, quite frankly, I think that all you can do is really just press on. I think you have to get hooked on the day-to-day steps of making something, not so much the end result. And I think you have to start valuing that. I think you have to start valuing the process of creation as opposed to the final product of creation. Because I think that once you do that, once you recognize that it is the steps that I'm taking right now, right here, in this moment, that are getting me where I want to be going, once you recognize that, I think that things will be a lot better. I think that once you stop being so precious with your work and you let go, I think that's when real kind of contentment happens, or appears, or whatever the right verb is. And I'm not saying I'm there. I'm not saying that I'm completely, perfectly, 100% content in everything I do. But I think that I'm more content than I was before I was doing this. I think that even though it's stressful, even though it's been really freaking hard to do a video a week for however long I've been doing it at this point in time, in spite of it, I think I'm still better off. And I think that's really the important takeaway. I think that I'm better off striving and failing than not striving at all. So I guess that's all I have to say. So thank you for watching and have a nice night. So, see ya.